It hit Marcus right in the chest and broke open, and ice went flying everywhere. And it was shocking and surprising and so odd. And then the car. It is Sunday, November 19th, 2023. And on this week's edition of Sunday Sofa Time, we're talking about 4 weeks and 3 cruises. I'm back here at home in front of the red sofa in Hamburg, Germany. It feels good to be back, but I had a really great 4 weeks in the United States and all the other places I ended up. If you follow me on Facebook or Instagram, or if you are a regular watcher of my videos, you kind of know everything that I was up to, all the highlights and lowlights, but I wanted to sit down today and give you sort of a preview, showing you some just like little blurbs of the things that happened to me and what you can look forward to here on the channel in the next couple of months. If you've watched this far, I'm assuming this is not the first video of mine that you're watching, but if it is, I'm Morgan from the very unofficial travel guides. I've been making travel videos for over 15 years of popular and not so popular tourist destinations to give you a very honest, unofficial look at what it's like to be there. And I also wrote a book with crazy travel stories of true things that have happened to me around the world. It's called Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship. It's available on Amazon now. So the whole trip started when Marcus and I flew to West Palm Beach. This is an airport I have not been to before. Actually, Marcus flew in first class and I flew in economy. And you want to know how many times Marcus came back to visit me in economy? Not once. Never. He stayed up there the whole flight. Yeah. Relationship goals, everybody. But the West Palm Beach airport is actually, it's very new and modern looking. I had been to this airport before, and the reason we flew to West Palm Beach is because the first of the 3 cruises that I did was on the Margaritaville at Sea Paradise cruise ship, and that leaves from West Palm Beach. We stayed at the Quinta Inn. The reason that I picked this hotel is because it had a free airport shuttle and there were restaurants and bars within walking distance. We arrived at like 4:30 in the afternoon, so I knew all we're really gonna wanna do is go get something to eat and then go to sleep, so we have some place to sleep for the night before we go get on the ship. And the La Quinta Inn was good for that, but this is not some place you want to make as like a resort destination. It was showing signs of age. That I've showed more about that and talked about that in the videos that are already online. One thing that I didn't tell you though is after we got there and got checked in and kind of got situated, we went walking down the main street to check out the bars and restaurants, and we stopped at a stoplight because the crosswalk sign was red, and a car came around the corner that stopped. They rolled down the window and then they threw a drink out the window at Marcus and drove away. So strange. It was like a big, styrofoam cup filled with ice from, I think it was like Sonic's or Chick-fil-A or something like that. And it hit Marcus right in the chest and broke open, and ice went flying everywhere. And it was shocking and surprising and so odd. And then the car had to stop at like the light right across the street because that's how traffic works sometimes. And Marcus was so mad that he picked up the cup and he wanted to walk back to the car and throw it back in the window. And I was like, Marcus, don't do that. We are in the United States. These people probably have a gun. It's not worth it. But yeah, not a fun way to start to start a trip to the United States with something like that happening. What's wrong with people? Why doesn't anybody know how to act right anymore? I have now posted all the videos I'm going to be posting that are specifically about the Margaritaville at Sea experience, and it seems to be a popular subject because my review video where I kind of go through everything that happened day by day, within the first day and a half, it had already been seen by around 50,000 viewers. So that's really great. And honestly, like I've said in all the videos, it wasn't perfect, but it was nowhere as bad as it seems like many other people try to make it look in their videos. Or let me be specific, not as bad as many other people try to make it look in the thumbnails to their videos. With the proper expectations, I can definitely recommend that you try it if you think that this might be something for you. And I know that we would definitely do it again, but it's not, this 2-day cruise is not something that is going to be like your entire vacation. We're not going to fly from Germany just to do this 2-day cruise, although they do also kind of work like a ferry, and you can take the ship over to the island and then stay on the island for a couple days and then take the ship back. Also might be something interesting to try. So all those videos are basically online now, and all of the things coming up here are going to be things that you can look forward to on the channel in the next weeks and months. First of all, after Margaritaville finished, after we disembarked the ship, we took the Brightline train from West Palm Beach down to Fort Lauderdale. And this was something that for some reason was stressing me a little bit here in Germany, in Europe. I've taken trains everywhere. It's a very common occurrence, but I have never ridden a train in the United States. Didn't know what it was going to be like. My friend Carl at Midlife Bucket List, he lives in Southern Florida, and talked me through it. And it worked out really well. And these Brightline trains are so nice. The stations are very nice. And I'm going to be showing you how that whole process worked, and then also tell you some of the things that I might do differently next time. That's going to be coming up here very soon. Also, the Brightline does now go from Miami all the way up to Orlando, so I could definitely see using it as a way to easily, like without a rental car, do a Disney vacation in Orlando and then a cruise vacation from West Palm Beach, Fort Lauderdale, or Miami. Sounds good. Is this something that you're interested in hearing about and learning about how it works? Let me know in the comments. The same day that we disembarked Margaritaville, we boarded the Celebrity Equinox. This was our second cruise with Celebrity. The first cruise that we did with them was on the Apex, which was almost brand new. That was a really fantastic ship, a really fantastic cruise, and we enjoyed our time on the Equinox, but it is an older ship, and parts of it do also show its age. Be talking more about that in the upcoming videos. And one thing I can't wait to tell you about, it's kind of like, I don't know, it's embarrassing as somebody who travels a lot and who has been on so many cruises, but I made 2 really stupid planning mistakes that ended up costing me a little more money than I needed to spend. And there are things that just when it happened, I wanted to look at myself in the mirror and say,
don't you basically travel for a living? How could this happen to you?
I don't think any of you will be able to guess what it is, but you're just gonna have to wait a couple weeks until that video goes online. I told you all about it while I was on the ship. It's already recorded, and yeah, it will come in the order it's supposed to come. Some of the highlights on the Equinox were not only the silent disco. This is something that I think every ship needs to have nowadays. I love silent disco or silent dance party. And on the Equinox, they not only had a DJ who was, like fighting for the attention of the crowd in the headphones, and then they had like a separate track that was just playing the whole time, but they also had a live band. I've never seen silent disco or silent party with a live band. It was so cool. We really enjoyed that. If you've never been to one of these silent dance parties, you have to try it. There's just something about it that's so much fun. And actually on the Independence of the Seas that I did with my sister, it was her first cruise. When I saw that was on the schedule, I told her,
we have to go there right now.
And she just could not fathom what it would be or why it would be interesting. But then we ended up sitting there for the entire time until it was over. The ports that we stopped at on the Equinox were Grand Cayman, someplace I've also only been to once before. We had a little bit of a snafu because we wanted to go to a specific beach club. Then the taxi driver talked us out of it, and we ended up at just the normal beach, which is something I wish had gone differently. It wasn't a horrible day, but it just went a little bit differently than we were expecting it to go. I'm going to show you all about that process in that video as well. We were tendered in Grand Cayman, which I think always happens in Grand Cayman. And that day there was actually only one other ship in port, which was unusual to me. We also went to Cozumel, which was my first time there. One thing I can tell you is we were there in November, or actually the end of October. Yeah, it was October. So in places where there are seasons, end of October is usually getting colder or cold. And of course, Mexico is not someplace, at least that part of Mexico is not someplace where they have like a winter, but it was so hot there. The sun was shining. It was super humid. It was just so hot, but I certainly miss it now. In Cozumel, we took the advice that many of you had written to me, and we visited 2 places to eat and drink. One of them was Pancho's Backyard. The other place that we went is called Wet Wendy's. We really enjoyed going to both of those places, so thank you to everybody who recommended those. I'll be showing you everything we ate and drank and the things we talked about while there in the upcoming videos. And on the way home, we had a little bit more time, so we stopped at the Margaritaville in the port to finish wetting our whistles, and we did a mezcal flight, which actually was also really tasty. And it was kind of nice to sit there and listen to the music and watch the other passengers go along the pier to get to their ships. There were, I think, 4 ships in port that day. So it was a really crowded day in port, but we had a good time. I would appreciate going back to Cozumel. And I think next time I will also do the same thing, do a food and drink tour and just walk around. There's so many, it's just really nice place to sort of just walk around, do window shopping and look at all the different bars and restaurants. On the Equinox, we also stopped at the tiny little island of Bimini, and I went to the Bimini Beach Club, which is actually the private beach club for cruisers on Virgin Voyages. So this is something that's a little bit different. When you cruise with a Virgin Voyage ship, then they take you to this beach club. It doesn't cost anything extra. And on that day, it's not open to people who are not on the ship. On any other day, it's open to anybody on the island and people on the ship. But for us, there was an entrance fee, and something I learned at the entrance to the club was the entrance fee costs different for each ship. So if you're on a Carnival ship, it costs less. If you're on a Celebrity ship, it costs more. I don't need to go there again. If I was on a Virgin cruise and it didn't cost anything, then yeah, I think it's a fun place to hang out for the day. But if I remember correctly, I had to pay, I think, $54 for my entrance. It included a tiny little welcome drink and then, yeah, just use of the facilities. And honestly, that time would have been much better spent just hanging out up on the ship or on the free beach. But here's something you need to know. You may have heard the rumors. I didn't really understand about this, but there really are sharks swimming all around the island. I'm walking down the pier back to the ship. So the free beach is just over here and the ship is just over here. I'm looking down here and there's sharks swimming all over the place here. Now, not all sharks are dangerous. Humans are not on the usual menu for sharks, although of course it can happen. But just if you have like a shark phobia, then you're not going to be wanting to get off the ship in Bimini, at least not to go in the water, because they're there and you're going to see them. The next part of the trip after I disembarked the Equinox, Marcus and I spent a day at the Fort Lauderdale Boat Show, which was fascinating. We looked at some $2, $3, $4 million yachts that we won't be buying. And the next day I said goodbye to Marcus and I traveled to Miami Beach, which is where I stayed for the next week with my good buddy, aka my bodyguard. If you don't know that story, it's in the book, Getting Stitches on a Cruise Ship, and his son. And this is a video that I have already posted online because I was just so frustrated by it and I wanted to get the word out there. But the hotel that we stayed in, the Bentley Hotel, not the Hilton Bentley Hotel, just the Bentley Hotel on Ocean Drive, we stayed there from October 30th until November 5th. And the whole hotel is a big construction site. It was really loud, and I just am so disappointed that that's where we ended up staying for the week. I made a whole video about that. So if you were planning to stay at the Bentley Hotel on Ocean Drive and you're watching this video now, just make sure you call them in advance to see if the hotel is going to be finished when you get there. I said this in that video, but I feel like altogether, there's so much construction happening in Miami Beach right now, which makes it kind of an unattractive location to visit if you're going to be staying there for a few days and want to kind of chill out during the day. But other than that, everybody in Miami Beach is like somehow trying to twist your wallet and get more money out of it. And it's frustrating. It's not a very welcoming environment, I guess I would say. And I just don't like to constantly feel like I'm either A, being cheated, or have to take care that I'm not being cheated. That means like looking at every bill and going through everything specifically to make sure that they haven't automatically added 18 to 20% gratuity. I mean, I went to buy a coffee in the hotel lobby restaurant where I stayed with my sister. I just wanted one little espresso. It cost like, I think $4.50. And they automatically added 20% tip to the $4.50 just to make a coffee. That's Miami Beach for you. I don't like it, and I'm gonna try to avoid staying there in the future. One big highlight of my stay on land in Miami Beach is also something you're gonna see in an upcoming video, and that is we did an Everglades airboat tour and went to like the alligator, it's not an alligator farm, but more like a little zoo with alligators and an airboat tour. And I wasn't expecting the airboat ride to be as thrilling as it was. It was really fun, something I can also definitely recommend. Also, the bus driver was charging extra money for certain seats on the bus. Miami Beach, people. No longer a favorite destination of mine, but looking forward to sharing that video with you soon. And then I boarded the Independence of the Seas with my sister, her first cruise. This was a really interesting experience to be on a ship again with somebody who has never been on a ship and just sort of look at things through their eyes. We had a lot of fun. We laughed a lot. You're gonna see in the videos where my sister is present that we kind of bring out the silly in each other. We did sit down for a sort of a Sunday sofa time style video where I kind of interviewed her after the first day on board to ask her, okay, what were you expecting and what has it been like? So I'm looking forward to share that with you as well.
A massage?
Oh, what did she say?
Massage.
How do you spell that?
Is that English? I just have
Oh,
never
that
heard
sounds
of it.
French.
Very cultured.
Yes. Just like I said, it's so interesting for me, and I think for a lot of you who are kind of, very experienced cruisers now, you kind of forget what it was like before you knew what cruising was like, before you knew which restaurants were included and which weren't, before you knew what drinks were included and what drinks were not. All those things are just sort of second nature now, but I had to keep explaining it to my sister, and it just made me think, oh yeah, that's right. Not everybody knows this. I did find the food on the Independence slightly disappointing compared to other Royal Caribbean ships I've been on, and my sister, who eats sort of gluten-friendly, I guess is what you call it, not completely gluten-free, but she has to watch how much gluten she eats. She was pretty disappointed with the selection, not just like the food in general that is always gluten-free, but the things that they made that were specifically gluten-free, she found to be pretty lacking in quality. That was kind of unfortunate, and it's something also that I had never thought of because I don't eat gluten-free, so yeah, it's good to know. But the absolute highlight of that trip was not only just hanging out with my sister for the 4 days, but going to Labadee again, going on that amazing zip line and on the mountain coaster. We also had a couple pleasant surprises that I'll be telling you about in that video, including getting to see one of the cabanas on the beach. So I just hope you stay tuned and stick around long enough here on the Very Unofficial Travel Guys to see all of that. It's gonna be an exciting next couple of months from now until like Christmas or maybe January. So thanks for being one of my subscribers. Thanks for coming back here every week to watch these videos. I'm really happy to provide you with this information and this entertainment, and a thumbs up means a lot to me. So if you have a second, click on that thumbs up. I'm Morgan from the Very Unofficial Travel Guides, and I'll see you back here soon.